एक लकीर, दो मल्क और 80 साल का शोक।
You are from Pakistan, I'm from India. Very controversial topic if I talk about Indian-Pakistan relationship. But on the other hand, I believe education has no borders. When we talk about whether India or Pakistan or India or China or whatever country it is, it should not have any borders.
Making this as a reason for creating more boundaries rather than invading it. So it's very unfortunate. It sounds really funny to me that whenever I come across anyone in person, especially who's an Indian, I always ask them that how many Bollywood celebrities you have come across, like who have you met?
I met a lot of them.
Yeah,
we
of
hosted a
course.
lot of them in our events.
The two brothers are fighting and others are just having popcorns and fun.
Classroom before 20 years and classroom.
It's exactly the same.
The artificial intelligence or AI which they created or developed is created by our resources, whether we call it Pakistan, whether we call it India.
Yes, absolutely. People are reluctant to openness. So at times people like these who are highly influential tend to forget how accountable they are.
Educators together from India and Pakistan decide one thing, that we are going to teach positive about our countries, about our relationship, about our neighborhood among our students. It can actually transform.
We cannot change their perspective or mindset anymore, right? Now they are of that age where you cannot make them understand why you have to bring nation, religion, culture in between. It has nothing to do with it. It's a very narrow mindset, I would say, when you bring such irrelevant context. You make irrelevant context out of anything.
My grandfather, I still remember that he is from Pakistan, Lahore se my family shifted to India. So I always heard a story कि Pakistan ऐसा था. I always heard about Pakistan, positive Pakistan. It feels like a family. कि we are talking about us, about our countries, and we are together only.
We can make that work out as well, which seems impossible, but yeah, nothing is impossible.
Welcome, Heera, for this podcast known as Let's Talk Education. This podcast, we are sitting in Malaysia and doing this. Being from, you are from Pakistan, I'm from India. Very controversial topic if I talk about Indian-Pakistan relationship. But on the other hand, I believe education has no borders. When we talk about whether India or Pakistan or India or China or whatever country it is, it should not have any borders. Before we start this podcast, I want to have your little brief about your school, about yourself, or what you do, and why you are into education system.
So it was not a conscious decision to come into the field of education. I remember I was just doing my A-levels when I started off with education. Started off as a teacher. It's been almost 12 years that I'm in the field of education. And then it just grows. In 12 years, there's a lot of different roles that I have been, from teacher to a trainer to a leadership role. And then now here, I'm working in the school of Islamabad, the Link School, and I'm working in a capacity of marketing, curriculum, and training. So I have 3 different roles to cater on. So it's at times juggling too many balls at the same time. But I feel I'll get back to the point where you said about education has no boundaries. And I think that's why both of us are sitting in front of each other, making it evident that, yes, education has no boundaries. I personally feel that this particular event, or maybe we are all gathered about, people have become more conscious about the fact that which country or from which background do you belong. But when it comes to education, and when we as educationists all come together, I think there is one major, or you can say mutual goal we are catering to, and that is to provide best education to the younger ones in any country, regardless of its your country or Pakistan or any other country we belong to. Yes, it becomes a little more, you can say, there's a lot more friction when it comes to when we talk about these two countries. But I think we have open boundaries and open platform to experiment when it comes to education, what frameworks we have to experiment with, regardless of whether it's coming from your country, whether it's coming from my country. But at the end of it, we need to see if it's targeting or letting our goal get achieved, then we are good to go. Yeah.
So education, when you see education system, of course, being in Pakistan, आप बहुत countries का education system को observe करते होगे to implement or learn from other countries what is going on or how we should, uh, raise bars of our education system of specifically Pakistan. Which country you usually follow for the same?
In Pakistan, I think majority of the schools are focusing on, or maybe they adapt UK-based curriculum,
Okay.
because I guess more than 80% of the schools they follow Cambridge system. We go for Cambridge assessments, and with University of Cambridge. So the framework and the curriculum that we adapt are UK-based. Yes, there are tweakings that we do, because we have our own objectives as well that we set when we are building up the curriculum. So that's our job, right? So we make alignments of what is to be catered to our specific need, because see, you are adapting a curriculum means you are focusing on the framework, which is on a very larger spectrum, right? Or the frame of focus is pretty broad, but we have to align it as per our needs, because our parental body mindsets, perspectives are different from the ones that are there in UK, of course, right? So from country to country it varies. But yes, the objectives, the curricula, the frameworks are majorly of UK. And then we do experiment with coming, like, with different objectives or frameworks coming from from maybe you can say Australia, Scotland. So you can say it's a blend of different frameworks together. But yes, we do align them with our particular objectives as well. So we have, I think, few years back, the government started off with SNC, single national curriculum. So they were different objectives that were set as per, you can say, needs of our students
Right.
and our audience. And then they were blended with the UK curriculum objectives. And then every school used to design their own curriculum.
Right.
So yeah.
India or Pakistan relationship is very aggressive. If we see our politics, if we see our borders or our armies, how a normal or layman see sitting in Pakistan, India or Pakistan ka relationship?
It's very unfortunate if we talk about it. And I think before we started off, I was having this conversation with you that education is the only field, I guess, where, again, I would say this friction is not that much highlighted. But apart from that, you see, whenever it comes to India and Pakistan, either it's sports, we see, either it's in the business
Yeah.
of entertainment, or any other field, I would say, this thing comes across as a major problem than the craft, or maybe you can say the business itself. Education, I would say, I still feel that yes, there might be a lot of things that India as a country is doing a lot better than Pakistan. And we should be adapting in terms of, because see, India and Pakistan are the two countries who are pretty aligned in terms of culture, you can say, and
Language.
mindsets,
Yeah.
and the way we live, and what we cater to, as you can say, in terms of living. But it's very unfortunate when we have to say that we do not tend to give more weightage to the fact that if this, I would say, it's just a political thing, I would
Yeah.
say, a political agenda which comes in between always, to create that friction. Else, we can benefit a lot in the field of education as well, to each other, as two countries who are closely knitted since forever. And whatever contribution India can do for the field of education in Pakistan and otherwise, can actually together uplift and elevate the standards of education in the subcontinent. I think we ourselves at times, and it's kind of like really frustrating as well to think at times that we as two nations together could have done a lot better. Um, Either like because we are educationists, we are talking about education and field of education, or you name any other field, but just because of being, you can say, targeted by political agendas, we tend to have failed and given advantage to other states and countries to take benefit out of us. We could have done
Exactly.
it ourselves, but just because of getting so much involved in political agenda, and now making this as a reason for creating more boundaries rather than invading it. So it's very unfortunate, but I personally feel, and we tend to, when we search or Google about many things that we want to find how other schools are doing, I would say that there are many schools in India where they're significantly highlighted on social media. Yet, because again, it's a mindset that has been built in people's mind, that there is always reluctance which is showed when we tend to, or we intend to adapt that thing, particularly from a school from India. So I don't know how, but we as educationists and events and platforms like these would actually, I would say, at least instigate that change of mindset which is required to be more flexible and adaptable, in terms of at least knowing or understanding that regardless of whichever country to we belong to, especially when it comes to in India and Pakistan, but it's the craft or maybe the idea which matters the most, and how effective that could be for our nation in terms, if you can say, or maybe for yours. So I guess people need to be more flexible, and it's very, for me, if you personally ask, for me it's a very narrow mindset, I would say, when you bring such irrelevant context, you make irrelevant
Yeah.
context out of anything. So I hope that by this, you can say, flexible mindset of different people coming along and gathering in platforms like World School Summit and many others, we become more flexible, and we think at a broader frame of focus, and not be, you can say, targeted by these political agendas which actually affect in not so positive way.
Yeah, 100%. I guess बहुत negative impact create करता है these
Mm.
political agenda on specifically common people of Pakistan or India.
Mm.
Let's go little depth in Pakistan education system. How education system works there. Like back in India, we have a CBSE board, that is the Central Board of Secondary Education. So we have created our own board, which most of the schools follow back in India. So how system of Pakistan
In
works?
Pakistan, over the years, I have observed. So, like I mentioned earlier, that majority of the schools are affiliated with Cambridge, University of Cambridge, and then we have our boards as per our province. So, Sindh has its board, and then Federal has its board, and then Punjab has its board. This is how it goes about. But in Pakistan, I have seen over the years that there are a lot of non-educational programs as well that have been really um, caught the eye of parents and students. So in terms of language development, in terms of robotics, in terms of AI, in terms of you can say sports, any different activities, life skills, music. These things have also created a space in as normal as any other subject in
Yeah.
the entire school framework. So this is something which is really positive as well, because initially I remember when I was doing my O levels and in A levels, we had very um, less choices of subjects, and there was no particular way of teachers as well to guide us, because of course they were not well aware of how much experimental we can be
True.
in our field of education, and maybe later in life when we get to our university days. But I'm glad, and I feel envious about the students of today's time, where they have so much to experiment. And I think every other school in Pakistan is providing that platform to the students that if they intend to adapt any field, be it music, like I mentioned, be it AI, be it robotics, they're providing them at a very early stage. I would say like starting from grade 2, 3, and robotics, and I would this you can say, yeah, robots are basically a part of curriculum in early years as well. So it's a very tender age to get adapt,
Hmm.
exposed to robotics and machinery, but it has been a part of a lot of schools. So I think which is good as well. So our students are well informed and they are well versed about how to go about these things when they are grown up. So they have more awareness which field they need to go, rather than reaching that age and then
Right.
exploring.
आपसे
So
बात करके ना ऐसा फील ही नहीं हो रहा है कि हमारे कंट्रीज में कुछ डिफरेंस भी है.
you can relate a lot,
एब्सोल्युटली
yeah.
आई कैन रिलेट अ लॉट. और शायद जो मीडिया में हमें दिखाया जाता है वहाँ पे सिर्फ टेररिस्ट ट्रेनिंग चल रही है, ऐसा आई एम श्योर नहीं है. बिकॉज दिस इज हाउ द कंट्री इज ग्रोइंग, दिस इज हाउ आवर कंट्री इज ऑल्सो ग्रोइंग. बट आपसे बात करके एजुकेशन सिस्टम के ऊपर बात करके ऐसा फील हो रहा है कि वी आर सिमिलर. ऑफ कोर्स
Yeah.
we are also talking about robotics, we are also talking about artificial intelligence, and you are also talking about artificial intelligence and robotics.
And I think this needs more encouragement in terms of I've seen a lot of reels and stuff and content on social media when people, if it's your school, if it's any school from India and they're doing something good, they're going to be someone from Pakistan pinpointing and maybe talking negative about it. So I think this needs to be cut off. This needs to be shed off. And
आई
if
गेस ये करने वाले ना कुछ ही लोग हैं जो शायद हमारे कंट्री में भी होंगे, आपकी कंट्री में भी होंगे. और एजुकेशन को अगर
But
हम
that should
बात
not be
करते
the
हैं,
source of
या
hindrance.
एग्जैक्टली.
If I would say this shouldn't be a source of hindrance for people who want to collaborate with each other, regardless of whatever country it is. Either it's India, either it's Pakistan. And I guess I met someone the other day who was from India. They're a part of World School Summit, and she was telling me about her school. And I think her school is in New Delhi, and she was telling how they really go about it. And it actually developed that urge in me to go and travel there. But
या
just realizing that I cannot actually was a sense of disappointment for me, that just because of these for us it's small, just because we are the people who face it at the end of it. Political agendas at a larger scale doesn't affect the people who are the reason to instigate it, right? But people like us who really are not really bothered about all these things, or maybe again I would say they
ग्रोथ
do not
माइंडसेट
pay heed.
स्पेसिफिकली.
Growth
या
mindset, exactly. And I'd say that, can I see pictures, because that's the only source where
या
I can go through them. So it's very unfortunate that we cannot even travel to each other's country just with a good and positive objective and agenda to see how it really goes, because physical presence is something else. You can see things online, of course, everything is available, but the physical presence, the physical collaboration that one do
Yeah.
has a different effect. So yeah.
like if I talk personally, I see Pakistan very good artist. My favorite artist is always Atif Aslam. सुनते सुनते बड़े बड़े हुए हैं हम
Yeah.
उसको. और राहत फ़तेह अली खान, नुसरत फ़तेह अली खान, lot of artists came from Pakistan, and I see Pakistan has a very rich culture of artists, specifically
In
artistic
terms of
or
music, so
music,
yeah.
or creativity. Pakistanis plays a very important role. How you see India as a role model? जैसे मैं म्यूज़िक को बहुत रोल मॉडल मानता हूँ पाकिस्तान को, कि पाकिस्तान का म्यूज़िक इंडिया का भी एक म्यूज़िक कल्चर, इंडिया ने भी एक उस कल्चर को अडॉप्ट किया है.
Yeah.
कहीं ना कहीं फाउंडेशन है
There is
म्यूज़िक की.
influence of it, yeah. I think so it's I don't know, it sounds really funny to me that whenever I come across anyone in person, especially who's an Indian, I always ask them that how many Bollywood celebrities you have come across, like who have you met?
I met lot of them.
Yeah,
We
of
hosted
course.
lot of them in our
Yeah,
events.
so I feel really intrigued about, because when you've seen anything just over a screen and then
Yeah.
you meet someone who I've already seen. So of course, when we travel abroad, we tend to come across some of them, but that's a very rare case.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of creativity, especially in the field, in the business of entertainment, and physical, I would say, like dance is a part of your culture as well, right? It's a part
Yeah.
of Indian culture. So I think there's a lot of creativity that I feel has been influenced, and I think now that Pakistan is also growing, I would say, in terms of entertainment and making movies and everything. So we have adapted this particular thing from them.
Hmm.
So music is one thing that maybe has influenced India a lot to better their craft, or maybe get the work done better. But I think in terms of creativity, either be in movies, either be in I would say there is a lot now that we can see on social media, just because it's
Yeah.
more relevant and people are more into it, has been influenced here as well. It has been a reason for people here in Pakistan as well to influence. It's all about the idea, right?
Right.
And how you really tweak it in your
Hmm.
own way. So I find people of India really creative, and I wish and I tend to meet them someday, but again, it's unfortunate that it cannot happen. Music also has a really big impact on Pakistan as well, in terms of Bollywood music, in
Yeah.
terms of you would
Punjabi
say
music is also,
Punjabi
yeah.
music. Yes, there's a lot of influence of it, and of course, actors and
Yeah.
Bollywood actors are one thing that we really look up to,
Hmm.
but we know that it's just limited to
Yeah.
screen only. So I personally feel really intrigued to know how you have met, how do they look like,
Hmm.
have you seen
Hmm.
their
Hmm.
house and all of that. But that's about it. So when in terms of music, I again, I think you must have also came across any music that has been remixed in India, it still not taken very positively. They would be like
Yeah.
India stealing music from Pakistan or otherwise. Um, I don't think so. It has been labeled. It's just a craft of someone.
Yeah.
Anyone with, of course, proper protocols can adapt it and modify it in their own way. There is a lot of negativity, I feel, which has been injected in all of us as people, or maybe you can say citizens of both the countries. Um, and they kind of like feel that if it's an ownership of someone, the other person does not hold any right to use it,
Hmm.
although they're not using it against you, but it's just an idea of modifying it, which is
Yeah.
justifiable and understandable. That's how it's been done across the world, be it anywhere. But yet again, I think this feeling of bitterness that
Hmm.
comes when you talk about these two countries needs to be faded away over time period, because if it keeps growing,
Yeah.
it would actually result into something which would not be so positive.
Yeah.
And I think people like us who has opportunity, or maybe we have platforms where we can voice this as much as we can. I'm
Yeah.
I'm sure
True.
you can be from India, one of the major resource for people to
Yeah.
to get this injected, because at times you need to forcibly do things as well, seeing that if not done or addressed on time can actually have a very negative impact.
मैं ना लेमैन की तरह एक अंडरस्टैंड करता हूँ इस रिलेशनशिप को पाकिस्तान और इंडिया
Yeah.
स्पेसिफिकली सो आई बिलीव देयर आर टू ब्रदर्स जो एक साथ रहते थे पहले
Hmm.
और समहाउ फैमिली में सेपरेशन हो गया
Uh.
अब देयर आर सेपरेशंस लाइक अंबानीज इफ आई talk about Anil Ambani and Dhirubhai Ambani, still they meet each other. Still they are together when we talk about if someone needs them, needs each other. Still they are together when they are celebrating something. So this is how India and Pakistan relationship, I believe. दो भाई थे, लड़ाई हुई, अलग हो गए, and I believe they should to be together. हमारे आसपास के जो
But you
लोग हैं
see,
ना,
Akshay,
आसपास की जो families हैं ना, वो
हाँ.
मजे ले रही है. Nothing. This is what
Exactly.
happening.
I was about to
Yeah.
say that if two people are being very rigid in terms of their approaches, then what's the job of other people who are looking
Yeah.
around? Having fun?
Yeah.
No. But majority of the people do that. In terms of having fun, I personally feel other countries, it's also a source of, that it's fine. It's been over years that they have been on the same equation, right? But yet again, like I said earlier as well, people who have the opportunity to voice their, and even celebrities from your country and celebrities from my country, from India and Pakistan, I personally feel they are the most influential people in
True.
both the countries.
True.
Just because somewhere or the other, people, not everyone has a very open mindset, and people are reluctant to openness. So at times, people like these who are highly influential, um, tend to forget how accountable they
Yeah.
are in terms of voicing their thought of how impactful it can be for the people of Pakistan and for the people of
Yeah.
India. So now, as us being third people observing that it's not working out, um, I think there our role comes in. That's where we
Yeah.
need to enter and I should say intrude in terms of addressing to them as well specifically.
The
Um,
problem actually, if I talk about political agenda, bhi, that is all about vision. How
Yeah.
visionary our leaders are.
Yeah.
If their vision is very clear, if let's suppose if Pakistan and India are together, don't you think कि बाकी world के लिए it will be a
Like I
challenge and
said,
problem? Yeah.
I mentioned it earlier that if we would have collaborated years back, and it's
Yeah.
still not too late, we as two nations together would have really elevated, especially the subcontinent, not in terms of, I would say, any specific business, but overall in terms
Yeah.
of economy, in terms of us as two nations, and then collaborating together. And I still feel that if everyone feels accountable, instead of, like we said, having fun, um, address the issue and then talk to the relevant people of how this actually can be beneficial for both the countries, um, can still make the situation a lot better. It's
Exactly.
just that we need to address, right people need to address the issue at the right time. That's something that we are lacking in. Like you said, two brothers are fighting and the
Yeah.
others are just having popcorns and having fun. But we really need to get, because I personally feel, I don't know how it is at a very, I'm seeing it on a very superficial level, but it's alarming.
Yeah.
Now how the situation is going, it's pretty alarming, because when you see clips, especially when it's sports, it's been like this, and
Yeah.
it's not just about India and Pakistan. There is rivalry in sports for other countries as
Yeah,
well,
of
but
course.
this is getting serious
Yeah.
now. This is getting personal, I
Hmm.
would say.
I always heard a story from my grandfather. I still remember that he hails from Pakistan. Lahore से my family shifted to India.
Okay.
So I always heard a story कि पाकिस्तान ऐसा था. I always heard about Pakistan, positive Pakistan. From my family specifically, if I talk about my grandfather brothers, उनकी family, extended family, always discussed positive about Pakistan. So मुझे ये लगता है कि इसका solution ना एक है, my personal opinion, we as an educator plays a very very important role in transforming or in building a nation. If educators together from India and Pakistan decide one thing, that we are going to teach positive about our countries, about our relationship, about our neighborhood, among our students, it can actually transform it. Because Gen Z or Alpha generation, this plays a very important role. If we see back in Nepal what happened, एक दिन में पूरी government बदल दी, prime minister change कर दिया.
Yeah.
That's a power of a citizen. That's a power of unity together. And of course, when we talk about raising voice for better nations, raising voice for better relationships and better neighborhood, this can only happen through education system. When we stop spreading hatred in our education system about our nations, about our countries, about our neighborhood, this can this is the actually only thing which can transform a relationship of India and
Hmm.
Pakistan.
Hmm.
When I talk about how we can see it in a positive way.
And it needs smart working as well. See, like you
Yeah.
said, that you need to target now the generation that you're educating, right? So in terms of if it's Gen Z or if it's
Yeah.
Gen Alpha or whatever, they if they are educated, or maybe they if we as educationists now, because we are in a position of doing it and we are addressing it to them, we give them the content which they can use positively to
Yeah.
address the issue in their way. Because see, as the generation is passing, I see myself as a generation who doesn't really care about things my parents have
Yeah.
had, right?
Yeah.
So every generation is becoming is nurturing or nourishing in a better way, and then they're not being petty about these things, if it's not of any importance.
Yeah.
So yes, we can use them, and educationist as an educationist and education systems should actually modify. I would say that at times we don't pay much attention to small details. When you talk about, so when we're designing curriculum and when we are looking into the content, I personally feel at times that it's the same old content
Yeah.
that we used to study when I was in grade 8
even
and
even
9.
I'm feeling the same.
Yeah, so when they have to give papers in Cambridge
Yeah.
for Pakistan, like Pakistan studies is our subject that we have to give in Cambridge. So when I was doing my O levels, that is back in 2011, and then I when I go to the schools and when I go to classes and I see that, are you freaking serious?
You know,
World has changed in these over a decade, and
Yeah.
you're making students go to the same content.
That's our brand video of RoboChamps. We
Okay.
show, car before 20 years. Now, car right now. Mobile before 20 years.
Yeah.
Right now. Now, if we see classroom before 20 years and classroom
It's
right
exactly
now,
the
it's
same.
same.
It's exactly the
Same
same.
structure, same classroom, same whiteboards. Everything is same. Nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Even if I see my book of 6th grade and right now the book of 6th grade
It's
is
the same.
almost same. There's only one difference. That time it was
Cover
black and
page.
white, and this time it is
हाँ.
colored, more towards colored. और कुछ
I-
eliminate ही कर दिया होगा books में.
At times I'd be
Yeah.
very sarcastic that cover page change होने से
Yeah.
ना the content doesn't change, right? So
Both of our countries, specifically politics, no one talks about education system.
they don't.
किसी को फर्क नहीं पड़ता education system से, and that is the foundation
And
of.
actually, see, at times I be very transparent as well, and sometimes it's majority of the times it's not appreciated. But I think someone has to say it,
Yeah.
that we shouldn't be superficial in terms of projecting what practices you're doing in your school in education. You have to be extremely honest,
Yeah.
and you have to make sure that you are delving deeper into what things you really need to cater to when it comes to students and children of, I'm not saying children of the parents that you're catering to, but overall, because you're nurturing a generation. So you have to be extremely conscious about every other thing that you are adapting for your school.
Yeah.
And then you really need to modify and see things in the light that students can also relate to. अब 100 साल पहले या 10 साल पहले, whatever has happened, how a student of
Yeah.
today's time could relate to it. So if it's history, if it's geography, if it's something that they really need to study, should be something that they can relate to in today's time.
Yeah.
Or maybe over the past 5 years that has happened. So that they have a vision of the past, of the present, and then their mind can work that what they need to do in future. Like you said, what happened in Nepal is something that they had the idea.
Yeah.
Or what something was done in the past, and what's the present, and what needs to be catered in the future.
I'll tell you one thing. I went to one school in the morning assembly. I was taking a session. Random thought came in my mind. I asked kids, what you learned in history? I still remember. It's almost 6 years back. I'm telling you the scenario and a real situation. A student raised hand and said, इंडिया में मुगल्स आए, लूटा चले गए, पारसीज आए, लूटा चले गए, फिर ब्रिटिशर्स आए, लूटा चले गए. Just imagine, this is what we you know, taught our kids in history.
And they must have listened this language and this use of words from someone, hence they're using the same.
Absolutely. And if I talk about our country history is Ratan Tata right now, you know, who built an empire. And trust, just imagine, it's not a company, it's not a brand, it's a trust he created, donated everything.
Yeah.
Or, you know, this is the real richness of our country, or history of our country now. How, you know, we built our nation after, you know, separation, how we started from scratch, how, what we learned, what we implemented, you know.
It's imperative for students to know two sides of the same coin as well. See, if you want to make your students more analytical, and that's important as well, and I think every other school works indirectly or directly to build up these skills in their students as well. So if you really want to make your students analytical, you just provide them with information where they can make comparative analysis themselves, right? So for example, like you said, something happened in the past, just tell them, and then something that happened in the present or recently, and then they're smart enough to compare themselves that what has been happened in the past shouldn't be repeated. And then they have that eye as well, that in case if they see something happening in the present of the same nature, they have their own perspective to put up to and maybe take action against it.
So being a developing countries, or the countries we see US, or, you know, UK or Canada or whatever the countries, developed country, as our role models. And we see they have developed artificial intelligence, they have developed this technology, but हम internal understand करने की कोशिश नहीं करते. The artificial intelligence or AI which they created or developed is created by our resources, whether we call it Pakistan, whether we call it India, engineers from our country or developing countries. We always see they have developed it, but I don't see they have developed it. It's us, we have developed. We help them to develop. So अगर वो लोग कर सकते हैं तो हम लोग क्यों नहीं कर सकते? So we personally, I believe, we don't talk about the development, we don't talk about the growth, we don't talk about, you know, how the world is moving so fast. हम लोग इसी एजेंडा में अभी तक फंसे हुए हैं कि हमारे पास्ट में क्या हुआ, हमारी हिस्ट्री में क्या हुआ. I guess next 5 years down the line, if I see, artificial intelligence can replace lot of things.
It's transhuman
जो
world,
मैं अपनी टीम में भी कई बार बात करता हूँ कि if you will not transform yourself, either you will be jobless after 5 years, or AI will replace you somewhere. आपको अपने आप को एडवांस करना पड़ेगा.
Absolutely.
अगर हम ये थॉट्स पे काम करना स्टार्ट कर दें और इन थॉट्स को एक टाइम के लिए थोड़े टाइम के लिए साइड पे रख दें कि whatever happened or what is happening is not my concern right now. My concern is my future, where world is moving so fast and I have to adapt myself. And हमने दोनों ने डिस्कस किया, back in my country and back in your country, the education system, no one has touched it. किसी ने उसको ट्रांसफॉर्म करने की कोशिश ही नहीं करी. Being an educationist, आपको लगता है कि ये कैसे हम ट्रांसफॉर्म कर सकते हैं? If you want to give message to audience, those who are listening this podcast, और पाकिस्तान एक एजुकेशन सिस्टम को बेटर कैसे कर सकता है और एक इंडिया एजुकेशन सिस्टम को बेटर कैसे कर सकता है?
I think I would just say one thing, especially addressing the youth, people of our generation who are now working and are in majority of the fields, either it's technology, either it's education, you tend to have to take risk. At times, I know we are bound by different boundaries when it comes to job, when it comes to your boss, when it comes to this. But if you really have an objective of bringing about a change in terms of development and being one of the reasons for the development of your country, I really like the fact that you said that why we always think about working to some other country and contributing your skill and craft to them rather than to your own country. But I tell you, Akshay, that at times, either it's India or either it's Pakistan, I think people of our age, I'm especially talking about the working class now, they do feel or maybe face hindrance in terms of the generation they are facing, which is, of course, 10 years older to us. And I have come to a conclusion, and I think you would second me in that we cannot change their perspective or mindset anymore, right? Now they are of that age where you cannot make them understand or make them see the world from your eye. So rather than investing your energy in making their perspective change, you have to take a risk, right? In terms of maybe giving up on not doing something that has been dictated to you, but take ownership and make your way and lead the way, I would say. So in that way, you would get more opportunities to do things your way, either it's in terms of technology, either in terms of anything that you would like to do in education, and then bring about a change. And then, of course, when you take risk, I always feel, and this is something very people of Pakistan really relate to, कि whatever you try for gets to you. आप जिस चीज की कोशिश करते हैं आपको वो जरूर मिलता है. Yes. So you keep taking risk, and you make sure that you make possibilities yours. Nobody's going to come at your doorstep and help you out. So you have to help yourself. But in terms of that, don't give up when it comes to doing things your way, because that's the most difficult thing to do. When you empower yourself, you tend to fall back and forth, but you need to stand time and again and ensure that whatever skill and craft you have, you design your objective, that's what I'm going to do it for you. But I think more of the people now needs to think about the idea that we need to really support each other, to ensure that in case if you cannot do it alone, I'm there to help you out, and we can collaborate and do it together. And it actually works. It's just we need to be more flexible in terms of our mindset, in terms of our perspectives, and don't pay heed to those petty things that comes our
I
way.
guess ट्रेनिंग ऐसी हुई है ना हमारे कंट्रीज की. I'll give you one real example. अभी
इंजेक्ट किया गया है.
अभी we are doing a championship robotics का in Malaysia only.
Okay.
जो हमारा final round है. And there are some teams coming from Pakistan. So we thought कि बहुत सारे countries के teams आ रहे हैं बच्चों के. Let's make a team with each other from different countries. एक हमने इंडिया और पाकिस्तान के बच्चे एक टीम में डाल दिए. Just to see how the reaction comes. I don't think so कि अगर मैं इंडिया और पाकिस्तान के बच्चों को एक रूम में बिठा दूंगा और they will not play with each other or they will not talk to each other, उनके माइंड में तो ऐसा कुछ होगा नहीं. We got a call from a parent कि हमारे बच्चा पाकिस्तान के बच्चे के साथ तो participate नहीं कर सकता. How? Why? You know, there's a question mark to it. Why? Who defined कि वो बच्चा पाकिस्तान का है या इंडिया का है? बच्चे हैं वो. They just want to grow. Exactly. How does it matter? और I'm sure ये thought पाकिस्तान के पेरेंट के माइंड में भी आता है, you know.
My point is that even if you see how big opportunity is for the kid,
absolutely,
why you have to bring nation, religion, culture in between? It has nothing to do with it. That's what I'm saying. We pay more heed to the fact that we tend to make irrelevant context out of it. It has nothing to do from where he belongs. They just have to play it, rather than encouraging the fact or the idea of being together and work as a team. We pay heed attention to these things. So that's something, again, I'm saying, Akshay, that we do not have to waste time in changing perspective or mindset of people that no longer know that they're not ready for change. And I'm not being bitter about it, but that's a fact, right?
True.
You can't really deny it. So rather you work on things that are in your control, because you can't really control anyone's else thought and ideas. So it's better that you work upon your ideas and thoughts, be independent in terms of dictating your way yourself, nobody else.
ये पॉडकास्ट में मुझे ऐसा फील ही नहीं हुआ मैं इंडिया और पाकिस्तान अलग-अलग नेशंस की बात कर रहे हैं. It feels like a family कि we are talking about us, about our countries, and we are
and
together
like
only.
We have a lot of similar experiences.
Absolutely. बचपन सेम रहा होगा I'm sure हमारा, because कल्चर सेम था हमारे कंट्रीज में. And thank you so much, Heera, for coming to this podcast. And I'm sure ये podcast बड़ा interesting आएगा, because लोगों का बहुत interesting topic है ये सब का.
And I really hope that it creates an impact that we both intended before starting with this.
दोनों का vision एक ही समझ आया मुझे कि it's just a mindset, nothing else. आप शायद ये political agenda side रख दो. People in Pakistan and India want to collaborate.
Open towards fact rather than being petty about it. That's it, I think.
हमारे शायद collaboration अब country में direct नहीं हो रहे, but coming in Dubai collaboration हो रही है. India and Pakistanis are living together in Dubai.
And let's see if we can make that work out as well, which seems impossible, but nothing is impossible.
If I go to Dubai, I've seen a lot of companies, India and Pakistanis are working together.
They're working together,
it
like
doesn't matter to
nothing,
them.
It shouldn't actually. Let's see.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.